Welcome back to Sportsnet. We're getting closer and closer to the start of the high school football season. We've been talking a lot about the favorites and the best players. Let's talk about some of the most underrated storylines with Jordan Taylor from Under the Lights. Appreciate you being here, man.
Thank you for the opportunity. 53 days until we get Boot Meets Ball. I can't wait. What an opportunity it is. I'm blessed to call you a friend and be here today, talk a little high school football with you.
You guys do the weekly broadcast on Thursday and Friday nights, sometimes even Saturdays. You do the Wednesday pick show, but tell some people out there what Under the Lights kind of means to you.
I mean, Under the Lights, we're going into year 8 already. Wow. Watched my little boy grew up through this also. He turns 5 next month, so we got to see the family grow. We got to see the crew grow over the years. It's we came into this. We took a shot at it during COVID, and from there it just took off, and we ran with it, and it's been a blast. We've created memories along the way, and relationships with coaches, players, fans that I'm most proud of, because we can look back and say we've been here, we've done that, and we met some incredible people along the way.
And it's been a great job making friends with you and your crew over the last couple of years here in Louisiana. Let's talk about some games and some storylines heading into 2026. We have some categories scheduled, and we're going to kind of dive into some of these teams. So let's start with a possible district championship long shot. And we had a couple Senlaw teams win in this area last year. Who's one from our area that you think could win it this season?
Long shot district champion. When you started to look through the list of teams in the Senlaw area, I jumped to District 3 1A, and I said, you know what, new district has formed. They got some heavy hitters at the top of the district with Jonesboro Hodge, Logansport, and I said, how about St. Mary's? New head football coach Jacob Carruth has made his way to St. Mary's, and now you have a lot of hype going into the season. It's a Coach Carruth team that just came off of 26 wins in 3 years at Catholic Point Capee, an offense that averaged 42 points per game. So you know he's bringing that offensive mentality into St. Mary's. You look at that and say to yourself, why not St. Mary's? Why can't they come and win this district in year 1 because of the offensive mindset that Carruth brings? They're going to score a lot of points, still to be determined on what the play on the field looks like, but long shot district champion with a big senior class coming back. I feel like St. Mary's is a 7-8 win team this year, but that's just me speaking.
Similar minds think alike, because I wrote St. Mary's on here, and we're almost the same exact stat. Carruth, 9 win seasons the last 2 years, as you mentioned, 42 points per game. That team can score. They've got a great running back in John Paul Thibodeau. We had our mutual friend Marshall Leffler wrote about their new quarterback Preston Tilley and some early success at 7-on-7. If that team can find points, especially in that Class 1A district, they can win shootouts, they can win games, they can stack up wins and really make themselves a player to win that district. And I know you have a good relationship with Coach Carruth. What does he think about the St. Mary's opportunity?
Yeah, he loves the team that he has in front of him on paper. I am a big fan of Coach Carruth. When he was at North Central, he broke a 40-game losing streak over there. Wow. When he went to Catholic Point Capee, you spoke on the 26 wins in 3 years, also a district title to go along the way. So the guy knows how to win. And he's going to go there, he's going to walk in, he's going to let his guys know, hey, we can win if we do the little things right. And we're going to score a lot of points here. So I think everybody's on board. I think everybody's fired up. And, hey, Coach Carruth, I'm rooting for you.
They'll kick off their season on a Thursday night against Vidalia. Let's do state championship sleeper. A team from this area has not won the state championship since Manny. That was back in 2022. Ash and Gene have been very close the last 2 years. Who's one that maybe you think can make a run for a state title?
So, I mean, the easy one could have been who we're putting in the state championship game, but I love the option of a sleeper state championship contender. Could have went with Gina, could have went with Alexandria, but we have a feeling they might get there. Let's go sleeper state championship contender. How about give me Coach Tyler Hassel's Manny Tigers, a team that just continues to get better. They went 0-10. Then to 5-5, and this year with the schedule that's in front of them, I feel like this team could go out and win eight or so games this year. And with Sterlington out the picture now, Oak Grove goes up. I mean, it's a division right now where a 14 seed a year ago, they might find their way into the top 10. Hey, we saw a 14 seed win the state title last year in the Ouachita Parish. So give me the Manny Tigers, sleeper state championship contender. Coach Hassel trying to get the guys back to the standard of Manny football that we've seen over the years with 3 state titles.
We've done it again. I wrote down Manny as my state championship sleeper. Very favorable first month of that schedule, and then they're going to play Leesville, Avoyelles, and Mansfield in a couple weeks span. That's a very tough competition for them. I ran into Coach Hassel at Northwestern State on Friday, and I went up to him and be like, Coach, I think you guys might have a state championship level team this year. And he said, I want people to keep sleeping on us. He doesn't want to be seen as a district championship favorite, a state championship contender. He likes that Manny is sliding kind of under the radar right now and could be a threat when they're winning 8, possibly 9 games coming up in 2026. When you have a running back as good as Daniel Thomas and maybe one of the best offensive lines in the state, that could be a winning recipe for Manny to get back on track.
Yeah, you got some key pieces back. Quarterback Kellen Cox is back. You're great up front in the offensive line. A 2,000-yard returner in the rushing attack of Daniel Thomas. It's also a big piece coming back. I love what they did over the summer, though. Off-season, summer, I love what they did. State runner-ups in powerlifting. You know, a lot of guys contributed from that football team. Coach said he wants a player-led team. Well, he's going to have one this upcoming season. They just sent 31 guys to the Southwest Louisiana lineman camp. So it's trending in the right direction. Could they be there in December? Time will tell, but I'm going to go Manny. Sleeper.
I'm going to go backwards real quick. Another district championship long shot I didn't mention that I think could be. It's a small district, only 4 teams. The Menard Eagles, Coach Perkins, they won a district championship 2 years ago. It's basically, it could be a 1-game championship season between Avoyelles and Menard. They played last year at Avoyelles. Avoyelles wins a close game on their home field. They're going to have to go to Menard at the end of the year. Menard loses a ton from last season. That's not a question. But maybe once they get to the end of the year, things are clicking, pieces who we didn't really realize would be stars then develop for them. So I would keep a close eye on what Coach Perkins is doing over there. Give him some time, and maybe they could bring another district championship to the other part of Alexandria.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that's the district championship game. When we get down to the nitty-gritty down in the season, I think Menard Avoyelles is a fantastic matchup. And I can't wait to see what happens when we get to that point, but let's not rush it.
Awesome. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back here, talk some favorite under-the-radar players. That's next on Sports Night. Back here on Sports Night, we're continuing our sleeper storylines for the 2026 football season. That's Jordan Taylor from Under the Lights, the great football mind here in Louisiana. We've talked about some state championship sleepers, some district champion long shot. Let's talk about some individual players. We have a lot of 4-star, 3-star players in this area who are going on to the high level, Division I level. Who are some maybe guys, some under the radar guys who you could see being that next player to really shine?
Well, when I started to look in this and I dove into it, I said, you'll have the big names around the area. You'll have the big names in district play. So I went with sophomore Keytron Watson, number 15 from Bunkie. I got to see him for the first time a year ago. We do a top 10 plays every year at the end of the season. Well, his run against Marksville
unbelievable
made our list and came in the top 3.
Wow.
That's how much that we've seen a glimpse of the future right there. That was an incredible run. I think Keytron Watson, I'm going to go with my favorite under-the-radar player because he's not going to get the hype with the big names throughout the district in Genus Hatcher or Grant Sykes or Marksville's Bam. Yeah. But I expect the state to know Mr. Watson's name by the time we get to the early point of 2026. Big shoes to fill with Lee, but he brings a different style of to this offense that I'm very excited to see. Elite speed, playmaker in all 3 phases of the game. I think the best is yet to come from Bunkie's future star.
You know who else is excited for him? Coach Hillman. They love him on that stuff. We had that. I think that may have been our Play of the Week winner, Play of the Week runner-up that week.
Yeah.
I think we titled it "A Star Is Born" because this is the next player coming up. Zion Lee, incredible talent. Now he's taking his talents to Navy. Someone's going to have to score 30 touchdowns, whatever Zion had last year. Keytron Watson, I think, can be that dude.
Electric in a bottle.
Yeah, I'm staying at the running back position. So many good ones in this area. This guy, almost 1,500 yards, kind of flying under the radar. Grant Braxton from Leesville.
Yep.
Talk about filling big shoes. Xavier Ford, maybe the biggest shoes in history, breaking the state records for rushing. Louisiana Mr. Football gets a scholarship from the University of Minnesota. Somebody had to fill in and provide a real spark for that Leesville offense. Grant Braxton, 1,500 yards, 18 touchdowns on the ground, a couple hundred receiving yards, had 160 yards and 5 touchdowns against a playoff team in Manny. They asked a lot of this guy. and he was a very important piece of that offense. And I talked to Coach Causey at one point last year about what he thought of Grant Braxton, and he said the growth has been the biggest thing on display, not just for Grant, but the entire team. They had a ton of young players on that team last year. Braxton stepped in, had a great rushing season. They got hot at the end of the year, finished I think 6 or 7 wins, somewhere in that span, and now they're bringing back a lot of that talent who were young last year, and I think that's another guy who maybe could make a sleeper run for an all-state selection, an all-Senla running back selection. So very excited about what the Wampus Cats could be doing with Grant Braxton carrying the rock.
And I know the quarterback over there has gotten so much noise this offseason, and I love that you went with the running back right there, a nice counterpart to what those two will do on the offensive side of the ball this year.
Let's open up the entire board. Wild card bold prediction. We talk players, we talk champions, we talk district. Let's just open up everything. A wild card bold prediction for the 2026 season that you like with confidence.
I'm going to go with Marksville.
Okay.
Coach Josh Harper heading into year 4 under the program. Guys that return in Devin Lavallee, the Tulane commit, Jaden Price at receiver, offense that averaged 37 points per game a year ago. Here's my prediction, or a bold take here.
Go for it.
If they stay healthy, this feels like a Thanksgiving week type of team who could put up some major offensive production along the way. Momentum is such a thing.
Yeah.
And you look at a 62-60 thriller, those guys remember that. Those guys remember that second round playoff loss right there. You're on the doorsteps. You're one play away. Basketball goes win a state championship. 7-on-7 is just blowing up this summer. They're winning championship after championship. Momentum is a thing, and that's what Marksville has going into the 2026 season. I think quarterfinals is the bare minimum for this ball club.
I love it. I'm going to take it a step up. That entire parish. We interviewed Jamel Juneau, who's an assistant coach at Bunkie. He is a real founder of Avoyelles Parish Flag Football. They've been building a program there for a long time. He says Avoyelles Parish is going to win a state championship in the next 5 years.
Okay.
He says the talent right now is better than it's ever been, and the best is coming next. Avoyelles, Bunkie, Marksville will all win a playoff game. 2 of those teams make the state quarterfinals. 2 of those teams playing on Turkey Week, which you talk to coaches all the time. What is their goal?
They want to make it the Turkey
Make
Week.
it the Turkey Week. I think 2 teams from that parish do. We talked about Avoyelles' Kobe Smith, one of the most dominant defensive linemen in the state. Definitely a candidate for Louisiana Mr. Football. If he says his goal is to have 20 sacks this year, he told that to our friend Jer Roser. If he does that, he might have some hardware coming his way soon. Yeah. Avoyelles was young last year. They won 6 games. They're going to be in the mix again. Bunkie, we've talked about in depth. Austin Fitzgerald back at quarterback. Some very talented receivers. If a guy like Keyshawn Watson steps up, they're going to continue to score a lot of points. I trust Jimmy Hillman. I trust that defensive coaching staff that it doesn't matter who they have. They're going to find a way to succeed. And then Marksville, you just talked about. Bam Laviolette, Tulane commit, Jaden Price, Division I wide receiver. Kay Mingo, remember that name, offensive coordinator, was at Peabody last year, was at Ash the year before. Now he's calling plays for Devin Laviolette. Go back and watch his high school highlights at Marksville. He was incredibly athletic. It looks like Lamar Jackson in high school with what Coach Mingo was doing. I think he's going to unlock a new level with Bam Laviolette coming up this season.
And then you look at Sterlington moves up to Division II. This 1 through 8, I think they're very well in that conversation, and we talked about it before we went on the air. If everything rolls right, who knows if there's a top 4 in their future.
This could be a crazy season in Louisiana high school football. Jordan, we appreciate you for joining us here in studio. We're definitely going to catch up with you more as the season gets closer. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And right back here to wrap up Sports Night after the break.